Hi, Tara.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Good, good. I'm excited.
I am too. Great to meet you. Where are you located?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I hear it's very green over there.
It's getting brown though. The leaves are changing already.
Yeah, it's happening. It happens pretty fast. So
Where are you?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Have you ever been here?
No, I've never been.
And I've never been to North Carolina, and I keep interviewing people from there, and I really want to get out that way.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's cool because, we have the mountains and the beach. So there's always something to do.
That's what I hear. It has like everything that you want. So
Yep.
I could use that being landlocked here in Kansas City for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, I'm going to begin everything here with you with COVID. The last 3 years was quite an ordeal. How did you survive it, and how did it change you?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's when I left my corporate role and started entrepreneurship during COVID. So it changed me a lot because, um, while the economy was down, it showed me that there's opportunity even in a down economy with the right approach. But I actually liked it. I'm, not going to lie because I had been in the office for all of my career, and this was the first time I had ever worked from home. And I was able to start an exercise regimen and stick to it and develop a healthier lifestyle. So it was actually really beneficial for me. And you know what? I never got COVID.
Wow, good
I
for
know I'm
you.
like one of those like anomalies out there that never got the virus.
Wow. So I always wonder about there's always these groups of people that exist in society that they want to kind of hone in on. And I think you and everybody else that didn't get it at some point, somebody's going to say, hey, can we look and see what your structure and DNA reality is? Because there's something that's pretty magnanimous. Because I remember relatively early on, Fauci said, we're all going to get it. Okay. No matter what we do, it's going to be herd immunity no matter what. I mean, vaccines and everything else, no matter what you believe, it's just been a part of our existence with polio and all of these other things
Mhm.
that we've had to try to eradicate. But at the end of the day, if you didn't get it after it's been spread, especially through the mutations that we went through, that's quite a biological setup you got going there.
Yeah. My husband never got it. My mom never got it. My daughter never got it. So there has to be some type of a genetic component there for sure.
Absolutely. So let's get to the essence and heart and soul of what you do. There's so many things that go into your title and your journey here. But if I put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day and one of the kids looks up and says, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that child?
I would say that to I lead people. So that's number one. I'm a CEO, right?
Yes.
So I lead people, but I also help others transform their lives. And then so I do that through my CEO work. I help businesses grow, would be something I would say. I help brands grow, be seen, be heard, be different. That's what I do as far as my job as a CEO. As far as my job as an author now, what do? I help people become confident through my work, through my written word, right? So if I'm to explain it to a 6-year-old, that's what I would say is I help people and businesses become better and skyrocket their success.
And now you can add your COVID immune to your
Yeah.
life
Ah, there you go.
for
I
sure.
never thought to put that on my resume, but maybe I should.
But the kids would get they would get it. They would be like, wow, you're like a superhero. You don't
Yeah.
get these viruses. So talk to me a little bit about what you wanted to be in the third grade. What was your dream to grow up and become?
Oh, wow. When I was little, I think I remember saying to my mom I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but law has always kind of fascinated me. It's I'm glad I didn't choose that path though, because I think I'm in the right suited path for me now. But I've always liked and enjoyed standing up for the underdog, defending people, justice, equality, human rights, advocacy. I think that's really important.
So let's go back to your childhood. Tell me where you were born and raised, and what were these seeds that were put into you to want to be a leader and an author and to help people? How did that happen?
Well, I was born and raised in Maryland, rural Maryland. And, my family, I came from little means. My family didn't have a lot of money. Um, but I always wanted something more out of life. And there was a big part of my life when I thought that that's the circumstances I was raised in. So I'm not sure if I can ever move up, right? I felt kind of stuck. And it's hard, right? You think that your path is set for you sometimes, and you don't realize that you can achieve success as well. So sometime down the road, as I started my corporate career, which was the farthest thing from where I was, born and raised in, I started to realize I had leadership ability. But unfortunately, I was working in a lot of toxic corporate work environments. I think a lot of people can relate to that. So even though I'm a natural leader, my career was stifled because, toxic work environments, right? And oftentimes I would apply for a position and my boss would even hold me back. And I got tired of that. I wanted something more out of life, and there was a little seed of confidence in me that believed in me. So I started entrepreneurship, and I said, you know what? I'm going to make my own opportunities. I'm going to create my own path, and I'm going to become successful. And if nobody else believes in me, as long as I believe in myself, that's all that matters.
So who's been a hero for you? Who's fueled this desire in you?
Wow. My daughter played a really big role. So she's 7. And, having her and watching her grow up, I realized that, she's also a natural leader. She just has this ability. And I didn't want to stifle that for her. I wanted it to grow and blossom and be nurtured. But I also wanted to show her what a leader would look like. And that was me. And I couldn't be a leader of many without being a leader of one first, right? Within myself. So I made a conscious effort to build my confidence, so that I could show her what a confident leader looks like. I think there's a lot of quote unquote leaders out there. There's a lot of managers out there, but there's not a lot of really confident leaders that inspire, that transform, that really guide their teams. And I wanted to do the opposite of that. I wanted to really dive in and become a transformational visionary to help show other people, especially women, that, hone in on those natural gifts. And just because somebody else shuts you down, don't self exclude. So
So in
important.
Yeah, for sure. So in the realm of business, who's your favorite leader?
Oh, wow. Richard Branson comes to mind immediately. I like his style. I like his approach. He's employee first as opposed to he's employees over profits, and he says that. Work culture is extremely important. So, having a strong work culture where people are really valued, um, if you train people well enough, they'll stay. If you treat people well enough, they'll stay. And, again, so many toxic work environments exist out there where people are intimidated to teach people because they think, oh, this person's going to take my job. I want to be the leader that I want my job to be taken eventually. I want to hire people that are so good that I'm not the smartest person in the room. I want people to be hungry. I want people to have my job eventually, right? So it's the opposite of insecurity. And to me, he exemplifies that.
What's been the best advice that you've ever gotten that's resonated with you throughout all these years?
The best advice I've ever gotten, I think a lot of people are afraid of change. I think that's so many people are afraid of change, but The thing about change is the weather's going to change, our feelings are going to change, our taste is going to change, our jobs will change. Things change. Change is an inevitable part of life. So don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. And I feel like when we dive into change, face our fears, get out of our comfort zone, that's where growth really happens. So, yeah, some of the best advice I've ever gotten was embrace change, dive head first. But another piece of advice that's really good is start before you're ready, which is
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, certainly is. What's been one of your favorite client success stories or business stories that you've been involved with?
So many. Um, I think of, with this book and developing confidence, I've started helping people with confidence coaching. So I had a gentleman I worked with, and he was a keynote speaker, an international keynote speaker. He had been a keynote speaker for 12 years, and he was making four figures a speech. After one session with him, working on his confidence, he was able to charge $10,000 for a speech. And now his rate's even increasing. So getting over that hump, right? And again, 12 years of uncaptured income. How much did that lead, right? So I did the math with him. And I said, there's really not a lot of difference between this figure and this figure. It's all psychological, it's all in your head. And then we did the math and figured out how much money he had left over the table. And it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I said, how much would that mean to you and your family? And he said it would mean everything. And I said, it's time to close that gap. And you know what? It was that mindset shift. And now he's charging even more. I think his current rate's $12,000.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. So what is the motivator for you every day to get up, to do your work, to accomplish what you want to get done?
Well, I feel like I'm living within my purpose. I'm aligned within my purpose, why I was put on this planet. And that's natural energy right there. So every single day when I wake up, I'm empowered with purpose. And writing this book about confidence, it wasn't easy. I didn't want to do it at first because the book talks a lot about my story, my background, and it's hard. But I realized that in order for me to help other people, in order for me to contribute to the collective, in order for me to empower others, I needed to tell my story, write this book, share my authenticity. And honestly, that gets me up out of bed every day. And I've had this book out for just a few days. I already have 7 5-star reviews. Um, and it keeps coming in, and people are telling me already this book has transformed their lives. I had one gentleman who started reading my book, and he's not even finished the book yet, and he got a promotion. I don't
Wow.
think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So of all the things that you've accomplished, and you mentioned the book, there's a lot of things. What are you the proudest of?
Career wise, or
Yeah, anything, anything you've done in your life up to this point that you're the proudest of.
this book, I really am. But this book and speaking on stage, facing my biggest fear, growing up as, that was my biggest fear of all time, was speaking on stage. And I faced my fears once and for all this year. It was January of this year, and I delivered my first keynote address. And I realized it wasn't so bad. And actually, I kind of liked it. And more than kind of liked it, it was like fuel to me. So, facing my fears of writing my book, sharing my authentic story, speaking on stage, all of those things, what that led me to is I got accepted to land a TED Talk in the United Kingdom next year. If I wouldn't have faced my fears and done things that were uncomfortable, I wouldn't have gotten that large opportunity. So I would say it's a combination of those two things, writing the book and being able to speak on stage. because honestly, I see that as just riding the crest of the wave. I can't wait to see what's next.
So, you've obviously wanted more from an early age in your life. And I'm curious if you were to have a dream tonight and run into a 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point, what would you tell that young version of you?
Stop settling. Stop. Don't settle. If something doesn't make you explicitly happy, joyful, confident, don't settle. Don't settle for a relationship that doesn't make you feel good. Don't settle for friendships that are less than you deserve. Don't settle for a salary. Don't settle for anything that is less than you absolutely want, because I feel like so many of us just settle because we may not feel confident enough to go for more. But the biggest piece of advice I would say to anybody that's young is please stop settling, develop that self belief, that self worth, and go after your dreams. Don't settle for anything.
So, everyone out there has a perception of you. There's all these pockets of people, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I think I'm a good person first and foremost. I think that's the most important badge you can ever have, right? At the end of all of our lives, because it's going to happen, it's that inevitable thing. When people think about us after we're gone, how do we want to be remembered? So for me, I want to be remembered as a kind, loving person, somebody that gives back, somebody that's generous. That's who I am. At the core, it is that. I want to be remembered as somebody like that. Money is fantastic. We can't have a purpose, or we can't have a mission fully without money. We need to help more people, and we need money to do that. But it's not the end all be all, right? What's the most important is that perception, right? You want to be perceived as a kind person, somebody that's generous, who gives back, who wants the best for others. And honestly, I feel like that's who I am to my core.
So, Tara, if anyone wants to get your book, see your speeches, anything about your world, where can they go?
Absolutely. So my website is taralafongooch.com, or you can find my book on Amazon.
Wonderful. Hey, continued success with the book and everything else. This has been wonderful. I love your energy. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thank you.
See
Bye.
ya.